Entitled woman steals my headphones while I get an outburst thanks to my mental disease. Hello, I did a post in this sub before because my friend ran into an entitled mother. I also run into entitled people all the time because of my mental disease, but this one actually stole from me, so I decided to post it. Forgive me for grammar, spelling, and vocabulary mistakes. English is not my native language. So, some backstory. When I was 5 years old, I tripped over and fell off the stairs and damaged my brain. I got the condition called PBA, pseudobulbar affect, and it is a disease that makes a person get uncontrollable bursts of laughter and or crying. Most of the times when you feel a sudden change in emotion, but it can also just happen at random. I mostly have crying outbursts. The condition wasn't really known until the Joker 2019 movie released, where Arthur Fleck has the condition. Most people start thinking I'm faking it because I want to look cool. When I was younger, my parents had always had to drive me to school, but now I'm older, I don't want to say my age, but I'm a teenager, I can control my outbursts better. I can't cycle to school though, because if I get an outburst on my bike, I can trip over and hurt myself and or others. Also, my school is pretty far away, and I wouldn't even like to cycle so long every day. So, I always take the train, which is around a 20-minute train ride. To control my outbursts, I listen to music. It makes me feel relaxed, and most of the times, I don't get an outburst. But sometimes, my phone's battery is low, and I can't let it die, because if something happens to me, I need to call my parents. And it's hard to ask someone for their phone while laughing or crying. Anyway, enough backstory. That was way longer than I thought. Let's start with the real story. This is from what I remember. So, I'm sitting in the back of the train listening to music. Entitled mother steps into the train and sits behind me. I listen to my music, I get taken away by the music, so I accidentally start singing louder and louder. People in the train start looking at me, and when I realize what I'm doing, I apologized and stopped singing. Entitled mother says, "Hey, you had a nice voice. What song were you singing?" I think she was trying to sound like a nice person. I don't know why she started so nice. I look up and say, hi, thanks. The song was Feel It Still. It's my favorite song ever, and always have it on a 1-hour loop. Oh, I'll look it up. Thanks. No problem, entitled mother. So a few minutes pass, and nothing happens. Entitled mother says again, "Hey, can I ask you something?" "Yeah, sure, just make it quick. I need to get out soon." "Where did you get those headphones? My son would really like them." I bought them online from insert website from my country." "Thanks again." "No problem, again." I was thinking, such a nice lady, but oh boy was I wrong. I arrive at my stop and get off the train, go to school. Nothing important happened. Lol, school in a nutshell. Just kidding. I get back to the station after school and am waiting for my train, when I notice an entitled mother. I found it strange because she was still sitting on the train when I got out, but now she was waiting at my stop. I didn't really care about it though, and just waited for my train. However, my phone gave a notification that its battery is low, so I unplugged my headphones and just hoped that I didn't get an outburst. Entitled mother noticed me and walks towards me. "Hello, do you remember me? The woman on the train earlier today?" "Oh, hi. Yeah, I remember you." I'm pretty confused why she's even talking to me. "Where are your headphones?" Me, not really trusting her. None of your business? Come on, show me them." "Why?" "I looked them up online and they're really expensive, so I wanted to look at yours. I've been waiting all day here." Me, no, I realized she's basically a psycho, say, "Look, if you want to look at them, search it up online again." After what felt like hours, finally my train arrived, and I didn't say a word to the lady and just left her and went into the train, searched for my seat, and hoped this would be the end. But no, she follows me. Entitled mother says, "Just let me look at them now." "Stop harassing me, lady." My conscience said I was going to get an outburst. "Please stop." "Just for a split second." "No." My breaking point. I got a laughing burst at this time. Why are you laughing? Me, can't stop laughing. People start looking at me. Entitled mother. Stop, idiot. Just give me the damn headphones. Me. I actually can't stop and feel like I'm choking. It's something that happens often. I get the feeling I can't breathe because of the sudden outburst. Leave me, please. Start crying now. Some people walked to another cabin, which really made me angry, honestly, but also understandable, as they didn't know about my condition and probably thought I'm crazy, like everyone else. Entitled mother. Are they in your bag? Answer me right frickin' now. I have a mental disease. Please. Crying continues. Then entitled mother grabs my bag, opens it. My books were all lying all over the place. My laptop screen got cracked, and my calculator broke after being launched against the wall. She finally finds my headphones. I press the alarm button for security to come. An officer rushes inside the cabin. He saw me crying and a woman with headphones in her hands and books all over the floor. I think he realized what's happened. Officer. What has happened here? Me. Can't speak because I keep crying. Entitled mother. This boy stole my bag. Luckily, I could hold on to my headphones. Me. All I could do was shake no with my head. Officer. I don't believe that stuff is yours, ma'am. It is school books. Me. I grabbed one of my books and threw them at the police agent. It said my name on the cover, a male name, and the officer understood. He was looking confused, though, why I kept crying. Entitled mother tried to make a run for it. Officer tackles her, cuffs her around one of the poles in the train, making her unable to leave. You can stop crying, young man. You can tell me what happened. Me, still couldn't speak and started laughing again. Officer, are you okay? Me. I made with my hands a sign that the officer should wait a bit, like this I guess in emoji language, and grabbed my phone, called my dad, and he heard me laughing. I gave the officer my phone, and my dad explained it to him. Officer, I see. Well, your kid, your dad's on the way to the next station. Why don't you just sit in the next cabin and try to calm down? Entitled mother was screaming the whole time and calling me and the officer bad names. Minutes pass. I managed to calm down by just using my last 4% battery on my phone to listen to my song, knowing my dad was just waiting at the next stop. We finally arrive, and my dad decided to press charges against the woman. Anyway, my dad told me she must have gotten taken away for stealing, lying to higher authorities, and harassment. I honestly didn't know why I wanted to share this. I get outbursts for just thinking about this. Also, the reason this costs me like 45 minutes to type. I guess I did it to let people think more about PBA or just any other mental disease. Thank you for reading the whole thing. If you made it this far, here, say turtle or turtle emoji because I love turtles. I know you guys have heard this one before. I just wanted to read the story again with text this time. Our next story was posted by user Lola Johnston, titled Entitled Parents on an Airplane. Classic. Hello everyone. A few weeks ago, I got to experience my own entitled parent on an aeroplane moment, so I thought I might share it here. I'm on mobile, so sorry for formatting. English is not my first or even my second language, so be nice. I live in a medium-sized Western European city with only a small domestic flight kind of airport. So when I fly international, I usually go to the closest big city with one of the biggest airports in Europe. I often take the bus to go there because it's way cheaper than the trains. The connections are not always well timed, so sometimes I have to spend a few hours waiting for boarding. A few years ago, I discovered that Lufthansa often offers business class tickets for almost the same price as the economy tickets. There are also first class tickets, which are much more expensive, but that's another story. The difference between business and economy tickets is that you get priority boarding, almost twice as much luggage allowed, and you are seated in business class. The middle seat is empty, and the food is way better. But for me, the biggest perk, the one that makes me pay €50 more, is that it gives you access to the business lounge at the airport. There's free food, and most importantly coffee, there, and you can enjoy a comfy seat. So when I have to wait 5 hours at the airport, I go the extra mile to take a business class ticket whenever possible. Now the story. A few weeks ago, I was going home to Moscow and had to wait 4 hours at the airport. I dropped off my luggage and went to the business lounge to wait. When you enter, you have to pass a security check, showing your boarding pass to the lady at the reception. Here, I have to say that I'm in my early 30s but look younger, and when I travel, I try to be comfortable, so jeans and sweats are mostly, no fancy attire. I waited in line to get inside, and just in front of me there was Karen. The suit, the bag, the hair, everything screamed, "Look at me!" And along with her was her little goblin, just screaming nonsense. Kids at airports are generally insufferable. The line didn't move for a few minutes, so I took off my headphones and listened in. Karen screamed something along the lines of, "I've been flying with your company for years. Let me in." The lady at the reception had to call the security to help her explain that the lounge was only for people with business class tickets. Mind you, often not much more expensive than the regular ones. Karen finally gave up and stepped aside, but she stood close by, and when she saw that I was allowed inside, yelled something about how unfair it was. I was clearly cheating, as I was not rich enough to be there. I went inside and ignored her. Fast forward a few hours, I'm at my gate, waiting for boarding. And then, the horror! I spot Karen and the Goblin, waiting for the same flight. Great. The priority boarding is announced, I go inside, and I can feel Karen's glare on the back of my head. I ignored it once again, go to my seat, sit down, and wait for the plane to take off. I don't like the takeoff, so I close my eyes and try to relax, listening to some music. About 10 minutes or so later, I feel someone pop up on the seat next to mine. I must have dozed off because everything didn't immediately register to me. But I knew it was weird, because the middle seat is always empty in business class. I reluctantly take off my sleeping mask and... oh no, it's the Goblin and Karen, taking the seats. That's weird. I know they're not supposed to be here, but I don't say anything. Maybe they got an upgrade. A few minutes later, however, an older gentleman arrives, apologizing to the flight attendant for being late. And just as suspected, Karen was at the man's seat and the Goblin was just taking the empty seat. The gentleman tried explaining that it was his seat and they must have made a mistake. The following exchange followed. Karen: "Yes, because this young lady has stolen my seat," pointing at me. No I didn't." I showed them my boarding pass. Then, to my horror, the Goblin grabs my boarding pass and rips it with his little goblin hands. I'm not a shy person, and I'm not easily rattled, but man, I was shocked and did not know how to react to this blatant display of entitlement. The commotion made the flight attendant come to us. Mind you, the gentleman was standing as his seat was taken by Karen. Flight attendant: "What's going on?" Karen: "This jerk has taken my seat. Please remove her so I can sit next to my kid." Man: "It's her seat," pointing at me. "The kid just tore her boarding pass. The pieces are still in his hand." Karen: "Nonsense! Flight attendant, please change my seat. I don't want to sit next to this liar." Karen screeched. The Goblin cried. The engines were rolling. So lots of noise. The flight attendant finally had enough and very politely but loudly said, "Lady, this is clearly not your seat. There is always an empty seat in business class. Please go to your seats and stop bothering the passengers, or I will remove you from the flight." Karen, feeling she was losing the battle, made a final attempt. "I'm a frequent flyer. The least you can do is bring me some complimentary wine." With that, she yanked her kid and stormed to her seats in economy. This was the last I saw of them. The whole flight was uneventful afterwards, but I did get to know the old gentleman, and turns out he's often on Reddit too. So if you're reading this, thanks for standing up for me, smiley face. Thank you for reading, and have a great day. Our next story was posted by user RatPackKing, titled, "Entitled Mother Does Not Get Her Van, Nor Will She Ever." Hey guys, first time posting here, so sorry if this story is a little long. I'll try to keep to the details. I have worked in the travel and tourism industry for several years, mainly in transportation, but some hospitality and business management. Saying that the business I'm in is rife with entitled parents and entitled people, in general, is an understatement. At the same time, I had been with the company for a few months. I'm starting to get close to the holidays, so my small office was getting busier and busier, with more families planning to rent a vehicle than take Dad's beat-up 1998 Suburban to Grandma's house. I still was gleaming with positivity about my job, unaware of the horrors that people could turn into when their family vacation is on the line. December of 2016, and Christmas travelers have started piling outside our doors, first thing in the morning. Office opened at 7 a.m, but we were usually there by 6:30. One morning, we see a small line of people, which is to be expected, but what stands out from this one is the entitled mother at the front of the line. We will call her EM. At her, 6 high-spirited children climbing on the railing outside of our office. We managed to get inside the building and get things up and running for the day. My manager greeted entitled mother and letting her know we will be open in a few more minutes. Entitled mother: "What do you mean? We have been standing here for half an hour in the cold. Can't I bring my children in?" My manager sort of blinks and says, of course they can come in, it'll just be a few moments before everything is up and running. My 2 other co-workers and I just look at each other and internally flatline, before my co-worker gives me a knowing look and mouths, "This is gonna be a fun one." My manager brings the woman and her children in, while we work to get the computers booted and the office running in shape. For 15 minutes, this woman repeatedly asking if we're done and can get my dang car yet, while her kids use our lobby chairs as a jungle gym. Admittedly, the kids were pretty cute and staying relatively calm. Once the computers are booted up, my manager has me look up the woman's reservation. I say hello, and entitled mother just ignores me. Not uncommon, but I continue to get the system started. I ask for her name, and she spits it at me while shooting one of her kids away from her legs. This is where things get complicated. Her reservation was for a minivan, which we were completely sold out of. How she even managed to make the reservation, I don't know, but it was timestamped as being made only an hour before we got to the store. When I try to inform her of this, you could see the blood starting to boil. "Are you kidding me? I made this reservation ages ago, and I need this van for me and my children to visit my mother. It's Christmas time. How could you be sold out?" Me, being the newbie, start to panic a little, and my manager, we'll call him James, steps back up to the front after noticing this. James: "Ma'am, please don't yell at my employees. We're sorry we don't have your minivan this time. You are correct, it is Christmas time, so we have sold out. But if you wait a few moments, I can try and call another location to secure one for you." Entitled mother: "How could you not have one here waiting for me?" "Well, it appears as if your reservation was made just this morning, and we have been sold out of minivans for a few days now. If you have a seat, I will gladly try to find one for—" "This better be quick. My kids haven't had breakfast and they are starving." The kids were fine, still running around and playing in the lobby. James asks me to call the other location, thankfully only a few minutes away, and see about getting an extra van. While I'm on the phone with the office, entitled mother is mumbling loudly about how horrible our service had been, and how she expected us to make our mistake worth her time. I managed to get the other manager on the line, and he says he has no vans left, but he does have an extra Suburban we can use. I notify James, and he tells one of the drivers in our office to get ready to go grab it. Entitled mother must have heard me say what vehicle it was, because she is immediately up at the counter, demanding that it have leather and heated seats so my children can be comfortable for the long ride. By this point, we all just wanted her gone, so we were trying to make this as quick and efficient of a process. James tells me to take her license and process her paperwork. We can attach the vehicle to her contract once it arrives. I pull open her reservation, type in her driver's license number, hit search, and... James? He turns back around and looks at the screen. A very large warning message has popped up. explaining that this woman is essentially on our blacklist for damaging a vehicle, a luxury vehicle, to the tune of $25,000 worth of repairs, all of which had yet to be repaid, and this claim was about 2 years old. James, now much more stern tone, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I'm afraid we won't be able to get that vehicle for you today. It looks as if you had a previous issue with another car back in 2014. I already paid for that. It was only a couple $100 anyway. Ask my lawyer. He will tell you." "Ma'am, unfortunately we can't." "Your job isn't to tell me what you can and can't do. Your job is to get me into that fudging car." James, now picking up the phone with a smile. "Actually, ma'am, my job is to weigh whether or not someone is trustworthy enough to put into one of our vehicles. You clearly are not. I will have to ask you to leave, or I will be calling the police." Entitled Mother does a panicked little shuffle, swiping her ID card off the counter and gathering up her children to get out the door. I guess she had figured this would happen because a big old clunker of an SUV had pulled up outside our office, and she hurriedly shoved her kids in before the driver peeled out of our parking lot. My coworker was right. That was a fun one. And our next story was posted by user Normal Floor Mat, titled, "Entitled Mum and her bratty kid assume my mum's car is a taxi service." So, it was a cold Wednesday, and my mum and I went to go pick up my aunt. No big deal. What were we supposed to do was pick her up from her house, bring her to the supermarket to get groceries, and drive her back to her home. Enter entitled parent and her bratty kid, BK. As my aunt was exiting the car and walked to the entrance, I hear a kid yelling at his mum from about 15 feet away from the back of the car. BK says, "I want Burger King." I didn't think too much of it, because, well, it wasn't my business. But as they walk nearer to the car, seeing my aunt getting out of the car into the supermarket, entitled parent assumed that it was a taxi service. Entitled parent comes up to the window and knocks on it. This is the conversation that followed. "Hello, is this a taxi service?" M for mum says, "Sorry, no, I was just dropping my sister off." "Quit lying to me. I know you're a taxi service for a fact. Look at your car." It was a black Mazda 5, so it looked somewhat official. "It's a large car as well. You were giving me and my kid a ride." The kid still yelling loudly, "Mommy, I want Burger King." "See, now you're making my little baby cry. Bring me and my child to Burger King or else we'll starve." At this point, my mum is speechless, so I try to step in. Honestly, I don't think my mum cares if you and your bratty kids starve or not. "Excuse me, you think you have the right to speak to me like that?" Yes, in fact I do. I have the freedom of speech, so I can say whatever in the world that I want. "You know what? I don't care about what you and your mum say, and I don't care if you broke your elbow. You're taking him to Burger King no matter what." Then she tries to get in the car. Thankfully, my mum quickly realized what she was trying to do and locked the doors. Unfortunately, she wouldn't let an eye off the car. She kept walking around the car and staring at it. About 3 minutes pass by, and I see my aunt coming towards the car. Me and my mum had to find a way to let the aunt in the car, but not entitled parent and the bratty kid. When my mum unlocks the doors, I see entitled parent bolting towards the side door. She managed to open it, but I block her off. "Get out of my way, kid! What makes you think you can get into anyone's car and ask them, 'Hey, can you take me and my kid to Burger King since your car looks like an Uber?'" Suddenly, she stops struggling to get into the car and tries to act all innocent to make my mum feel bad. "But we're poor and starving, and our car is at the mechanic." "If you're poor, then who do you think would pay for your food at the Burger King?" "Well, obviously you guys." "Oh, really? Well, you might need to find another person because we aren't giving you a single nickel. Also, good luck finding a person who appreciates rude people and pays for whatever they want." Entitled parent then continues to struggle her way through, but I shove her out with all of my might, which isn't that hard for anyone except people under the age of 6. Entitled parent stumbles over, and I quickly close the door and lock it. My aunt gets in the car as entitled parent is on the ground, and my mum locks the door before she can grab onto the door handle. She pressed hard and fast on the throttle, and just to pee her off even more, I stick my tongue at her. Classic. Our next story was posted by user Katie Donnelly, titled, "How dare you miss my daughter's event for a migraine?" So a few years ago, I spent overnight and into the morning vomiting during a migraine. I don't vomit, so this was pretty bad. When I knew people would be awake, I texted my mum to let her know that sadly, I wouldn't make it to my cousin's thing. Honestly, no, can't remember, but it was semi-important, but whatever it was in the church. She texted back something to the effect of, "Tell your aunt, I'm not impressed you waited this late when we are on our way out the door to tell us. How dare you?" So I text my agent. I sent a message where I apologized for my absence. She replied, "Okay, thanks for letting me know." The end? Nope. A few hours later, I had managed to make it from the bed to the couch to suffer some more. I got a phone call with my aunt shouting. The gist being, how dare I not attend my aunt's beautiful daughter's event? I made her daughter so upset I didn't attend. I'm a useless member of the family. I'm clearly faking it. I'm in tears, the phone is on the couch, and it still makes my ears ring. At this point, I just want to curl in a ball and die. The phone goes again. My aunt is going off on again how I'm a waste of space, faking it, a wimp, should have gone anyway. It's a 3-hour journey by public transport. Your mum should teach you for this. I can hear my mum, my adopted sister, and a few other people laughing at my aunt ripping into me. I hang up. Mum then phones me and rips into me. How dare I wait? 2, it was too late for her to tell me to travel anyways. Yes, genuinely. How I should have at least attempted it. I was a disgrace, a witch. My mum loves saying this to me for some reason. And how dare I show her up? My aunt then phones me yes again. If you were really ill, you wouldn't be answering the phone. Me. Fine. Click. Turned my phone on silent. The kicker is, my family treated me like this for years. Then, 2 years and 5 days ago, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. My family did a 180. I've not had an issue since about missing events, going home early, etc., because now I have a diagnosis. Well, bar this aunt, though she hasn't said anything to my face. Her response to my dad telling my siblings I was diagnosed was, "Seems this entire family's falling apart. I was in hospital with a high BP." She was about to drop a baby, so of course she had a high BP. Pretty much every time I got home now, I get a story about her entitled back end. Thank you for reading. It felt cathartic to get it out. And our last story for today was posted by user Corgina Booty, titled, "Entitled Mum tries to get me to move to a different seat on an empty bus and then demands me to hand over my pins to her child." This post isn't mine, it is my friend's. So I'm on the bus in the back near the window. All is well, and I'm not paying attention because buses in my area are crazy and have some crap you don't want to see. I have my earphones in, not paying attention to people, and one last bit of info, there is a lot of seats available on the bus. This Karen comes up with her 2 kids to me and starts berating me about giving her my seat, and I just said no because I don't want to move and my legs are killing me, so I don't comply. And she comes with this bullcrap that I should respect my elders and my generation is full of pieces of crap. And I'm like, WTF is your problem? One of her kids was looking at my pins and sees my Bride of Frankenstein pin. It's a 2-inch big pin portraying the bride in a pin-up style in a margarita with a web behind her. It is one of my favorite pins that I own. This kid sees it and says that she wants it and it's so cool, and I just say, I can't give you this one because it's special to me. Plus, it was pretty expensive to get, but your mum can get it on Amazon. His mum just tells me to give it to him for all the inconvenience that I'm giving them for a seat, and I just laugh at her face and say, how about no? Leave me alone. I go sit somewhere else, but as I said, my leg hurts, and I can't put much pressure on it right now. She is red in the face and just walks up to the driver, and she tells him about some BS story about how I was harassing them and not willing to give them a seat on a single mother, blah 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 blah. And I crap you not. The driver says, "Really? Really? That's what you're going with? I've been seeing and hearing all this stuff go down." She wasn't really quiet. He then politely says, "Can you please get off at the next stop? We take care of our passengers, and we don't stand for harassment of other passengers." So she got off in a huff and looks back at me, and I just give her a sly smile. It could have been easier if she just asked if I could and not just demanded. And if I said no, to respect that. And again, the bus was empty, so I don't know what her plan was. I hate entitled parents. What up, gamers? I hope you enjoyed that episode. I can be loud right now because my flatmates aren't in. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Once again, have a good day. I love your faces, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.